means that you do not have any ruchnisdike, any seicheldike, or emotional connection. The connection is only by Kabbalah Seil, because you accepted the yoke. You submitted yourself to this service. So then the Rebbe says, on the 3 line from the bottom of Kuf Nun Zayin, right in the beginning, however, in truth, in Kabbalah Seil, even though it sounds like it's Kabbalah Seil, just accepting the yoke of the master, there is therein a rotzon, the will. In other words, there is an appreciation, and moreover, even more of a tainuk, there is a delight in this relationship. And we discussed this. If this is so superimposed, how is it that we say that there is rotzon with tainuk? And the explanation is that the rotzon with tainuk is sourced not in his individual perception of himself. The rotzon with tainuk is sourced in his realization that there is a greater encompassment, a koyach makifi, what we prefer to call sometimes. The point is not the koyach makifi. The point is there's an encompassment. You're part of a greater reality. This thing of being part of a greater reality provides a very profound experience, personal experience, that translates in rotzon and tainuk. Already. The worst that a person can possibly experience is participating in nothingness, which is totally subhuman. Therefore, when there is a context for his being, there's a reality in which he functions. That already provides for what we call rotzon and tainuk. That gives a sense of experience in his life. There is something occurring, something happening there. And this is what the Rebbe says, 3 lines from the bottom of page Kuf Nun Zayin. Our be'emes, yes, but rotzon and tainuk. Be'emes, and we explained the word be'emes. I'd like to repeat that, because usually this is what we miss, and then we go on without realizing what we're talking about. Be'emes, yes, but rotzon and tainuk means at the truth level. In other words, at the level beyond one's personal identifiable experience. when one appreciates, recognizing that there is a fundamental truth to his functioning aspect. Be'emes. In other words, he's not acting in nothingness, and he does whatever he's able to do. Rather than, in fact, there is a preconceived plan, environment in which he functions. And again, the marshal for this is, we said many times, a very interesting phenomenon. If you have a home, and it's a beautiful, very comfortably well-appointed home. If the home lacks a basis for emes, what is that very basis? The home is on Mars. It is not in an inhabited area. It's not an area that human beings are meant to be. It's a vast emptiness. And then there is a beautiful structure. That structure lacks the emes of what a home is. It may have all the functional aspects, but it lacks the emes, the foundation of a home. Foundation of a home is a dwelling place, a place meant for human beings to live in. Not just emptiness that allows him to put up a house, but an environment that supports and identifies with human life. This is the emes aspect of human life, of our participation. This is the Rebbe says that even in the case of avdus, of complete servitude, being that servitude is taking place in an environment that has a real basis. So definitely the emes provides the Rosh Hashanah, despite the fact that it is superimposed and it's difficult and so forth. There's an emes experience there. You're in true living environment. This is why Yesh Bazer Rosh Hashanah. And this Yesh Bazer Rosh Hashanah means that there is a rotzen, there is a will and a tainuk in acting appropriately. Like we said many times, it's perfectly human. It's not considered as any kind of burden for a person to walk in a straight line. And to avoid clashing with other people. We're not interfering with his activity. This is part of being in the reality of life. He's walking something, the other people there, and they avoid each other. They give each other their so to speak, open path. And that itself is also part of Rosh Hashanah. Meeting up with other people as you are walking through the world is a pleasant experience. It's not interfering with you. It's not a clash. It's a pleasant experience. You are in a living environment. This is Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, this participation is not an element of Kabbalah Soy. This is a participation in real life. Now becomes a question, where does the Kabbalah Soil aspect come in? Rak, okay, at the end of the third line of the bottom, the very last word. Rak accept. The inyan Kabbalah Soil Machashamayim, but what in fact is the principle? And where does Kabbalah Soil Machashamayim serve and come into the human experience? Who it is? So Kabbalah Shemayim is a resolution on the part of the human being. The fact that he is in a living environment, that's be'emes, that's the way it is. He wants it. Where's Kabbalah Shemayim come in? That he recognizes not only that he is in an environment that he likes, but that he has to be respectful therein. He has to recognize that this environment that is provided for him is not environment in the wild. It's not there only because there is nothing else there, so therefore there's an open space. But in fact, there's a Malchus Shamayim. There's a heavenly kingdom. He is in a very significant environment. This significance is manifest in many ways. Primarily in these two ways. Number one, everything is in order. Everything has its place. If you have a house is built in a place where it's appropriate to build a whole house. And everything in the house also has its place. This is one of the aspects, the first aspect in Inyan, that he is in a true environment. And the other is that his behavior in this environment is an appropriate behavior. As we already said, that if you walk and you encounter things, these things are not interfering with your sojourn. On the contrary, this is the environment in which you live. And this is what the Kabbalah Malchus Shamayim is. He recognizes that there's an environment provided. He's not in a nothingness. An environment provided for him by Malchus Shamayim. He's in a heavenly kingdom. Therefore, whatever he meets up has a heavenly significance. It's there because it belongs there. And the acceptance of this heavenly kingdom is, practically speaking, is Shaliyya Minir B'Yikuvim Klau. What the Rebbe is saying is, even though be'emes, it's not Kabbalah Soil, it's something which is enhancing your own life. The Kabbalah Soil Malchus Shamayim aspect is manifest at the end of that process. That if he should encounter things that interfere, that make it difficult for you, this will not dissuade you from pursuing your path. that you should not accept any kind of interference with the path that you have been put upon.
But if there is Ratzon v'Tainik, how could there be Menias ve'Kuvim? How could it happen at the same time?
It can happen at the same time because the Ratzon v'Tainuk, this is his personal relationship to this environment. But the environment itself is much bigger than his personal relationship to it. And therefore, there could be many vehicles. And a very simple illustration of that is yes, indeed, this is your environment, but there are other people there. And the very simple example I mentioned many times, you walk in the street and there is somebody walking in the opposite direction on the same path that you're walking. That's Minir Bikuvi. A small-minded person would be resenting, why are you walking in the same path where I'm walking? But if you recognize that you're walking, that you're functioning in a true, so to speak, heavenly environment, so of course there are other people. If somebody else is walking the same path opposite of you, is not interfering. It's like, yeah, this is part of the richness of the path in which you're walking. And this is Kabbalah saying that he should not accept, he should not recognize, he should not look at things as being interfering with his path. And the Rebbe explains very clearly, even such things that come up, that he has no rotzin, he has no recognition, he can't relate to them in some kind of a meaningful way.
But this Devarim is not coming from from other people. This is his own personal thing that he doesn't have that will. So now the question is...
No, wait, don't run away. That particular encounter came from other people. He didn't create them.
This I feel about Vurim Shaloi Yesh Larutzim Bam goes together with Shloyim Menir Ve'Kuvim. That's part of the Menir Ve'Kuvim.
That's right.
He's explaining what...
Even things which has no interest at all, that will not interfere with his path in life.
Okay, square.
So Menia Bekuvim is interference.
Yeah. This comes into the category of Kabbalah Semach Shemayim. How so? Where's the Kabbalah Semach Shemayim aspect come into here? Kabbalah Semach Shemayim over here is the reason that nothing can interfere with my duty. No matter what happens, I'll accept that and go further and continue my path. The reason for that is because my path had been set for me by Malchus Shamayim. Which is not, I didn't choose this path because there was nobody there, so I'm walking on it. This is when I was put by Malchus Shamayim. And therefore, the Kabbalah sale is that since I was put on this path, I will not be dissuaded. I will not allow myself to be distracted from this path, regardless of what I encounter. And this is now 2 lines from the bottom. Even if he encounters things that he does not have a will, he does not have interest in it. And then even more than that, in fact, not only does he not have an interest in them, but the actual contrary to what he prefers. Nonetheless, because he recognizes that he is in the environment of Malchus Shamayim, therefore he continues to fulfill his duty, Malchus Shamayim, even though he's in an environment that is completely contrary to what he would like to be. All right? However, after all is said and done, it sounds very nice. Zehu madrege tachtena be'abdus. In fact, this is a law madrege in abdus. The fact that he can pursue his action, his duty, even if it happens in situation that he has no interest in, and or opposite, it is a very valid commitment. Yeah, this is called Madrege Tachtena Be'abdus. It's a law Madrege in abdus. And the Rebbe says clearly, V'hu in Eved Knani, which is actually the union of Eved Knani. Eved Knani means an Eved who has no interest in the service, does not appreciate of doing anything of value. He is just doing it because he was told to do. That's Eved Knani. And the Rebbe says clearly, at the end of that, very last words on that page, She'ein le'shum rotzoin, that he on his own has no rotzoin. He has no appreciation of any valuable activity. What is the Eved Knani? And he can perform and pursue his path even in circumstances that he has no appreciation at all. Not only that, even in circumstances that are contrary to his normal preference. Nonetheless, he can pursue it because he does not care what he does. He does not have a rotz. Whatever occurs, whatever comes to him, he should do, he does. He's not looking to accomplish anything and to have a value. And the rotzing. But Oise, Nami on top of a line of Kufnul Ches. And he acts.
We just said before that he is having the recognition of Ol Malchus Shemayim, therefore he stands up against them and he is veikuvim. So how do we say now that Ein Lashem Rotzen?
Okay. This is usually what happens when the Rebbe goes in many directions. But 3 lines from the bottom on the previous page, on page Kuf Nun Zayin. Be'emes yesh bazer rotzim v'taimak. In truth, there is rotzim v'taimak. because he's part of the reality, and therefore yes, was a Rosh Hashanah. And then the Rebbe goes, where is the Kabbalah saying Machashomayim? That this is only because of a yoke, is that he does not accept any interference. Even if the interference is such that causes him to do things that he does not want, that will not stop him. So here we have, this is where your question comes up. Rebbe says there is a Rosh Hashanah. And then you say that the Kabbalah says even in such thing that there is no Rosh. So which is it? Is he involved in something that he has a Rosh, or is he involved in something that there is no Rosh? Or here it's a very subtle inyan. The activity itself, what he is actually doing, yesh l'rotzon b'taimuk. Be'emet yesh l'rotzon, because he's involved in something real. Yesh l'rotzon b'taimuk. However, his commitment to doing these things is not based on the fact that yesh l'rotzon b'taimuk. What he is doing, yesh l'rotzon b'taimuk, because he appreciates doing good things. But his committing to doing it is not because of rotzon b'taimuk. The commitment is a Kabbalah sale. And where is this Kabbalah sale manifest? That he knows that even if he should encounter things that lo yesh rotzon b'taimuk, he will still continue to do it. This is where we get lost because of the contradictory statement. Does he have rotzon b'taimuk or does he not have rotzon b'taimuk? The answer is he has rotzon b'taimuk because he appreciates doing good things. However, the commitment that he's committed to do this is not based on the fact that he is doing something that he appreciates. The commitment is deeper and greater than the fact that he appreciates this. The commitment is to the extent that even if he should encounter things that he doesn't want, he will still continue pursuing it. So there are two different aspects in an activity, in an action. Very important to understand. The action that you're doing, because this is what you're supposed to do right now. The commitment to this action. The commitment to this action is deeper than the reason that you're doing it at the moment when you have to do it. When you're doing it at the moment you have to do it, you may be appreciating what you like. He has also the time against this. But the commitment for this is beyond rotzon b'taimuk. The commitment is not based on rotzon b'taimuk, it's based on the fact that he's committed to doing the right thing. And again, we have to have some kind of a demonstration, a muscle, that demonstrates the senior. Extremely simple thing. You're sitting at a table with other people and you're having dinner. Each one of you has his dinner plate and his place where he sits. When he has his cup, when he has his forks and knives and so forth, and the spoons. It is perfectly reasonable and perfectly comfortable for each one to be limited to his place. You have a cup, pick up your cup from your place and put it back in the same place. There's absolutely no, it's not a difficult challenge. However, if, for example, you're holding a cup, you're holding the cup in your hand, and you want to put it down, and the place to put it down in somebody else's area is closer than the place for your area. It's easier for you to put it down in somebody else's place than put it down in your place. You will not put it down in somebody else's place. Even though you would prefer to put it down in somebody else's place because it's easier. But you will not, because you recognize that this is the wrong thing to do. This is what Kabbalah says. You recognize that there's a right and a wrong, which is not exclusively based on something that you like or dislike. The like and dislike may be in the other direction, but yet you will do it the right way. This is just an extremely simple manifestation or explanation of what it means to do things heper hitzeinai. He will do the right thing even though it's not heper hitzeinai.
Is it correct to say that the Ratzon, there's the Tainik Ratzon in general, then there's the Ratzon, like it's not the real Ratzon. What he doesn't dislike to put it in his place is not the real Ratzon. It's like a taiva.
It's a what?
It's like to say a taiva. It's not the real Ratzon.
No, well, why do you say that?
Because is it the real Ratzon to put it in the other person's place? It's a desire of his. It's not his.
No. It's more comfortable.
It's comfortable. Comfortable is not Ratzon.
Why not?
It's not the Ratzon or Nefesh. It's a desire.
What Ratzon, what desire? If he feels more comfortable, let me explain what the comfortable means. Comfortable means a person can perceive that there is only him. All the other places are there to serve him. If somebody else is there and says, wait a second, this place is out of reach for you, this is not for you. That's why we're interfering with his activity. In order to accommodate someone else, one has to have a sense of Kabbalah Sefer. Recognize that there is an overall reality. He's not in a no man's land. There is he and there's other people. That already is an inyan for Kabbalah Sefer. If you walk in the street, like we said many times, and somebody comes facing you and going the other direction in the same path, you will avoid each other. Why? You're not going to clash. Why, when you're going to clash, you're going to avoid each other? Because you recognize that you are in a brilliant environment, and each one has his place, has to be given his place. Everyone has a right to go there. That's Kabbalah saying. That's recognizing the overall situation. Each one has his right there, and each one has been given the opportunity to do it. And if it interferes with you, you'll step aside. That's Kabbalah saying. Doesn't sound very big of an oil, but still it's Kabbalah saying. People who prefer just to walk their path without regard of others will just go on clashing other people.
Could I use my Kabbalah soul to interfere now?
You want to use Kabbalah soul to interfere?
Yes. I would like to request that the Rebbe gets to finish his sentence in the Mimer, and then we ask questions when he said his whole point.
All right.
If that's
Ask questions. Go ahead.
No, let's finish.
I would like to request that we finish the sentence in this small sentence that we're almost finished in the Mimer before we ask questions. And then when we have the whole idea, it's like just like another line and a half. Then if we could ask the questions after that, or after we explain what that means in the context of the previous few lines that we said. Because it's like right in the middle of a sentence, and like the Rebbe is almost finished the point. That's my request.
Okay.
I have noticed that the last few days we've been starting with questions and questions during the shiur, whereas before we used to keep that to the last 10 minutes. So we should think about which is the best path. It's not necessarily so good to have conversations throughout the shiur, and we decided to keep it for the last 10 minutes, but maybe not. I don't know, I'm just observing.
I'll tell you, the key to that, this is something which is a recurring problem with us. The key to that, very important principle. The Rebbe is speaking to each one of us in this Mimer. Even someone who has never learned this before. And yet the Rebbe is speaking to him. Who are you speaking to? I never heard of it. The answer is, he is speaking to the innate intelligence that every human being was endowed with. Every human being was endowed with an innate intelligence, not only that which he was taught and which is expressed, put into words. There's a sense of right and wrong, a sense of good and better in every human being. Because a human being is an intelligent being. He can see the difference. Did anybody have to teach anyone, any human being, that if you walk on a path and somebody comes towards you on the same path, you should turn, go to the right or to the left and let him go through? Did anybody have to have a class about that? I don't have to wait for the answer. Of course not. Why not? I'm walking on this path. So where is he coming out to? Because everybody recognizes that when you're walking on the path, you're walking on a path that is a general place for the entire world. Therefore, if you're walking on this, the entire world is also walking on this. It may even be that the higher world is working in the other direction. And that's what provides for this path in the first place. You think that Rebbe created the whole New York area for you to be able to walk there? New York area is made from millions of people. Therefore, every treat, every inch that you are occupying, you're occupying an inch as one of a million. And therefore, you're constantly both doing your thing and accommodating others. You cannot do exclusively one or the other. If one insists that he will do just accommodating himself, it's going to be a lot of trouble. And if he is going to be bent on just accommodating others, is also be a lot of trouble. There's not a place in the world that is meant for one human being alone, only. There is no such place.
So how does this relate to the asking questions?
Oh, so the questions is, first and foremost, one has to use his own intelligence and understand the environment in which we live. If one wants to be blind to that environment and wants everything to be stripped down, yes, you have to, when you walk on the path, you have to give a person a right of way. It's impossible. That's not talking to a human intelligence. One has to bring his human intelligence with him when he comes to learn. Human intelligence says, there is me and there's the other guy. Not only the other guy, but millions of other guys. And that's the environment in which I'm functioning. This is what the person has to bring with him at all times. Then he will not be shocked when he learns things that are a little bit slightly different than he thinks and he prefers. And this is what the Rebbe says. 2 lines from the bottom. That nothing should interfere but with the duty at hand. I feel about Borim Shal Yesher Rotzim, even that he has no interest in it. I'm happy to say no interest, but the opposite of Israel. That is also part of Kabbalah, of recognizing that you're living in a big world. Very simple. Very simple.
So the implication for asking questions during or in the last 10 minutes is still not clear. Does that mean since somebody has a question, so the other person steps aside and lets him ask it? Or does that mean if the person has a bit of difficulty understanding something, he could let that go by and ask at the end? What does it mean practically?
All right. It means practically the following. First and foremost, when you come to the shir, you have to bring your own intelligence with you. And thus, most questions that are, so to speak, simple human intelligence, you have to answer for yourself. You have to ask it. If your intelligence does not give you direction, when you walk on the path and if somebody comes towards you, that you have to step aside, then you don't belong in the shir. Then you have to go, so to speak, and start retraining from kindergarten. Coming to a shir means that you come into all the intelligence that you can muster with you. So therefore, 90% of the questions that may flutter through your mind, you answer yourself. You don't have to answer it. Sometimes my questions become, it's clear. Like we said, if you go on a path and somebody comes towards you, it's not a question and an answer. This is the reality of life.
Rabbi?
Yes, once says, to begin with, when you put your foot down in the middle of a, so to speak, of a sidewalk, you knew that you're stepping in a place that doesn't belong to you exclusively. You don't find that out after you meet somebody on the way. Yes, sir.
So it is the last 10 minutes. I just wanted to announce that, but also it does seem like every individual is uniquely and exclusively he himself, meaning I think it might not be from Hasidus Chabad where it says, if you are you, if I am me because you are you, and you are you because I am me.
This is stupid.
No, the inyan that, but if I am who I am because I'm made this way, I cannot be myself in response to everybody else. There seems to be some inner identity. I guess it's not on the main point of today, but there does seem to be some inner identity that is not dependent on interacting with others, and that person needs to have a sense of that. Otherwise, they're just blowing in the wind.
Okay, 1 minute. In a person being in an environment with other people, please listen to this. Environment of other people is not begin in interaction with other people. Interaction means because, okay, you have an interest, you may have to go here, I have to maybe go on the same path. Interaction, you have to be able to learn to cooperate. Cooperation is not the beginning of knowing that there are other people.
Very good class, thank you.
Okay.
What?
Very good class, thank you. Really cool.
Cooperation is at a much lower level, more distant level than knowing that you're in a big environment and it's a big world. Put it very simply. Cooperation comes up only when you know that there are other people. But the environment in which you are is not based on knowing that other people. The environment in which you are is that you don't build, that there is a creator, a big creator who creates the whole world.
Right.
That's the environment in which you are. You don't even know who can come there. And
Right.
your knowledge that there are other people is not because you encountered other people, but because the creator creates a big world. It's his world.
Right.
Anybody who comes there has the creator's right to be there. Not his right, but the creator's right. I'm sorry, I'm not letting you come in. Now come in now. You can come.
So it does seem like we start the day with Modeh Ani, which seems to be just me, and then you go out to your minyan, you go out into the world? Or are we saying that right from the outset, Modeh Ani, this me, is already like with people, with world? This is a kind of interesting play between the individual and the everybody.
1 second. You're missing a very important point in this Modeh Ani. The emphasis is Modeh Ani. Wrong. The emphasis is Lefonecho. The emphasis is Melech Chai V'Kayim. The emphasis is that you are Modeh Ani, that you are in the environment of Melech Chai V'Kayim. But I recognize that it's out of Binishmos, and you also allowed me to be in your domain. But primarily, I'm in your domain. And I recognize it. This I know without having to encounter any people, not having to be approved. Moidani, I know to begin with. That you're a Melech Chai V'Kayim, and there's millions of people that are part of your domain.
How can we take away the emphasis of Modeh Ani if it's the words?
The emphasis of Modeh Ani is that even as an individual person, I recognize Lefonecho that you are the boss. Not the boss, that you are the environment, you'd want to provide the environment for me. And if it's do you want to provide the environment for me, you provide the environment for me and for millions of other people. So the Modeh Ani is an important statement that even in the deepest personal, private crevices of my mind, I know that there is Lefonecho. If a person should never consider himself to be completely isolated, even for a second, even in the deepest crevices of his privacy. The person is never private. Halacha states, always look in Halacha. Halacha says that when you get dressed in the private chambers of your own house, even in the bathroom, you still have to maintain a principle of modesty. Why everybody says nobody there? You're never alone because you're always in the environment, in the big environment of the creation. And therefore you have to exercise modesty under all circumstances.
An environment of the creation means the creator?
Yes. Not the creator himself, that which the creator provided for the creation. How the creator wants the world to be.
Okay, but do we have respect for the creation or because,
we have respect for the creator's creation. The creator himself we encounter only one time a day in Shemoneh Esrei. Otherwise, we are in the creation. But in the creation, we recognize there's a creation made by the creator.
Okay, but is he present there or not? If he's not present there,
No. The presence of the creator, as we said, is only in Shemoneh Esrei. That's when we say Baruch Atah L'neichach. The rest of the time we say who. Baruch She'omer V'Hayohu Elam. Baruch who is Baruch who? Baruch who?
I'm going on the porch when I go.
Okay, Nachman.
I don't understand it. Can it be explained?
I have to think, I'm something in my mind, I can't remember the exact moment, exact example. So I'll go around it a little bit. The principle is like this. If the Creator himself would be present at all times, then we will not be able to perform our duties. I have to think of the example. It says, Pasha Halacha. There is, in Shemoneh Esrei, is Baruch Ato. The rest of davening is not Baruch Ato. The rest of davening is, you know about the whole world. It's his world, but it's only his world. But it's a big world. If you borrow money from Yankel Todros, you owe the money to whom? To Meibershen or to Yankel Todros?
To Yankel.
Why Yankel? The money is the Meibershen's money. Not only that, the obligation to return the debt is a mitzvah of the Meibershen.
Because the Rebbe gave it to him.
What does it? What does it? So the Rebbe should give it to him, and you are taking it from him. This is the pshat that this is not directly him. It's also from him, but indirectly.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, I have to think about it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it would be better when we relate to him himself. It sounds that no, better to relate to him indirectly.
That's absolutely true. You know why?
Why?
Because the Rebbe created a world.
Uh-huh.
And he's not always present.
That's right. He makes you believe that he's not always present. He gives you a free hand to act in the world.
Mm-hmm. That's a koyach.
All right?
So Sunday's the shir at 9 o'clock, right?
I'm sorry?
Sunday's 9 o'clock, right?
Sunday is 9 o'clock. Okay.
That's a koyach.
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Hashem is truly everywhere. That's a song.
Okay. Okay, so what's the answer? One second. How does a kid go in the bathroom? How can you do that in front of neighbors? The answer is, and that's what we have to teach our children. Hashem is absolutely everywhere, but Hashem gives you an opportunity to live your own life in the appropriate way, with self-respecting manner, respecting of others, but to live in your world. This is why Hashem created the world. Hashem is everywhere. In what way? In allowing everything to do and be what it's supposed to be done.
Mm-hmm.
If you should ignore Hashem's presence, then you would forget about your own principles also. Since Hashem continues to be present, but he's present in this indirect way by giving rules and that rules of life. That's his presence. The mitzvahs, he says, the mitzvahs are the Meibershen shluchim. That's what it says. Mitzvah Meibshu Shluchim. That direct a person how he should behave.
It does seem like it's the one of the chidushim of Chassidus that Hashem is truly very immanent, simsum lok pshutoi, and that seemed to be a necessary reintroduction of God, of His presence to the world, but at the same time, we kind of right now pointing out He leaves space for you to go up or down.
Okay, so the answer to this question, and seems like the pshut and so that, is that not that he leaves place, he gives you a place. Not that he leaves place. Whatever you want, you mamash, there's only the Rebbe. But he gives you place for your life. Not only that, but gives him even place for you to make mistakes and to make correction.
Okay, good. So that's good. And the difference between how it used to be is, I guess by Ms. Nagdem, it was more like God has left the scene.
Or either God left the scene, or that God is present like by us in Shemoneh Esrei. Either way is impossible.
What? Either he left the scene, or he's only present by the.
No, or that he is fully present.
Oh, they would kind of have either or, and then they'd get themselves in a pickle.
That's right. That's right.
Interesting. And we say something a little different. Ein od milvado. He's here with us right now, continuously. Yet he gives, not leaves. Gives room to do your own thing. Yeah.
Right, and he gives room to do your own thing. The correct way of doing thing is, he is giving you a request. Do your own thing and develop my world.
Yeah. Talents unloaded.
That's what the first mitzvah that Adam Rishon got.
Okay. Good. So maybe related to this, slightly different topic. Yesterday I got naturalized, became Americanized.
Oh, congratulations!
Free at last.
Wow.
Free at last. I've been to, anyway.
The author of duty.
So I thought maybe Rabbi would say something about the Frierdiker Rebbe's naturalization, or something about our avoida in America, or something about America.
Well, yes, but that I hope it doesn't go on for too long. America is a divine miracle that sprung up in the midst of the darkest moments of the world history. We had Ymach Shmom, the Nazis. We have the communists on the other hand. The world was encompassed between two giant evils. Couldn't escape it.
But America was before.
America was before, but it wasn't developed yet. It became fully developed during this time. America was true at the beginning of the creation, but there was not civilized, it was not occupied fully. America sprung into being when they had to counter the communists and the Nazis. And America came into to save the world from itself. I want to give you a very simple example. America went into war, Second World War. They didn't have to go into a war because they weren't attacked by the Germans. Roosevelt said they have to go into the war because we can't let the world go to pot. It was a whole decision on the part of the Congress, yes, to enter the war. They went into the war voluntarily to save the world from itself. And they were very, very helpful, instrumental of saving the world. As soon, listen to this, as soon as the war was over, that second, they were already talking about relinquishing, giving back all the land that they conquered. This is unprecedented in world history. World history, if you're a conqueror, it's your land, belongs to you. The first time in history that the whole world was saved by one country, and it immediately, voluntarily relinquish everything back. That's the uniqueness of America.
Meaning to say that, let's say for Germany, they let them stay a country. Is that what it meant?
I'm sorry, say again.
Conquering what? Conquering Germany? Conquering what?
The whole world. Germany had Europe all over the place.
But there was other countries also fighting.
What?
There's the other allies also fighting the war. I mean,
yeah,
America,
but the other allies were drowning. When America came, that's when they saved the other allies.
But they didn't conquer Russia or England or France. America didn't conquer them.
No, America didn't conquer them because America didn't go there. They saved them from being conquered by the Germans.
Uh-huh.
Right. So then after the war, they you had the Marshall Plan and the rebuilding, and they
immediately go to
relinquished.
Marshall Plan. You tell about the Marshall Plan. It's
The
a
Marshall-
miracle.
Right. So you're actually pointing out that the nation of America and the ethos of America is an anomaly. It's a miracle, and it's not. It's like the almost chosen nation. It's the nation that is
That's
not
right.
a nation.
That's right. That's why the Frierdiker Rebbe was so proud of America. When Frierdiker Rebbe came to visit America in the early 1920, whatever it is, he went to Washington, and he visited the various places, and he sat in Roosevelt's seat. Because here, there's reality to this.
There's a word I recently saw for one of the presidents saying that America is almost the chosen nation.
Almost what?
Almost the chosen nation.
Chosen.
Almost.
That's true. It's right. It's true. I'm telling you, it's unprecedented. If you read the history of the Second World War, it's unprecedented. A nation, and you know, millions of our soldiers died. Thousands, I don't know exactly, but we had a big sacrifice in the Second World War. We didn't have to. And then we just relinquished everything, free, without any challenge. It's unprecedented.
Okay, America was chosen in the second place after Israel.
Yeah, America had no interest in conquering the world. America had interest to rebuild the world.
The Frierdiker Rebbe became a citizen almost in his last year or two, and it has some kavanah, I heard, that the whole film was made by the Rebbe.
Now the whole what?
Film, there's a film about it, how the Frierdiker Rebbe
Film,
became
yeah, that's right.
the Rebbe made sure there should be a
That's
film
right. The Rebbe made sure that it should be filmed. Exactly right.
because there was a kavan. The Friedrich Rebbe had his Streimel on then.
That's right.
I heard that the Friedrich Rebbe meant something with that. It's not
They should
just
put on the triangle. Exactly right. And there's a picture with the Friedrich Rebbe holding his hand like this.
So I heard that the Friedrich Rebbe meant something about it, something not just to become a citizen. It was more than that.
Okay.
But because functionally it was mamish in his last year or two, so it wasn't because he wanted to become a citizen. It was, I don't know, but I'm not a Rebbe.
Wanted to
but-
make a statement.
Yeah.
He wanted to give America a sense of truth.
Something I heard that the Friedrich Rebbe gave them a blessing for America.
Yeah, I didn't never heard that.
I that's what I heard.
Okay.
Yasser Koyach.
All right, Basuris Davis, everyone. We should all,
Is it finished? Can I ask something?
whatever you ask a question, ask a question.
All right. So, in light of what you're saying, what is like? How should we be looking at like what's going on in the world right now, and in our country right now? How should we be like reacting, and what should we be doing about what's going on in our state and in our country? Seems like it's really it seems like it's not congruent with what you're talking about right now.
There were always conflicts, always difference of opinions. The principle is that the differences of opinions do not split the country. There's a certain limit while the difference of opinions can have an effect. The bottom line is everyone has to come together and accept the opposite opinion as well. This is what happened in America throughout its history. This is what's happening now also. There's always going to be conflict, there's always going to be different opinions. The fact that there are different opinions does not mean that there is not a unified spirit.
It's hard to say that this was going. What he's mentioning, what David is mentioning now, is not about difference of opinions. It's a difference. It's we're talking about people who are very corrupt and they want to tear America down.
Well, those people who want to tear America down are self-destructive. America is a huge solid base. If somebody wants to self-destroy, it's up to him. The only one who can prevail in America is somebody who adds something positive to the welfare of the country. Yes, there are evil people, so that's going to be here till Mashiach comes.
So this is what Rabbi David is asking. What should be our reaction? What is going on?
Our reaction should be that we should strengthen our own dedication to the good and welfare of the entire country, of everybody. Everybody. The Rebbe was concerned about the Chinese living in Chinatown. It is our duty to be concerned, add to the goodness and kindness in the entire country, entire world. That's how we are going to be influencing and be benefiting the world and the country and the world.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Because there's a tendency, while this is going on, it's like a war. And we feel like we need to take sides. And unfortunately, we get wrapped in and we become like, we're not being productive. We're just getting frustrated and anxious and afraid. I don't know what, but
No, wait a second. You're going too fast. We are building in the meantime big schools, yeshivas that were never precedented before in such size and such comfort that yeshivas have now. And that is what we continue to do.
Asher Koach.
What do you mean about the schools and
Thank you.
yeshivas? The schools and yeshivas are throwing people out of them.
And what?
The great yeshivas that we have, they're throwing kids out of them if they don't conform to public policy.
I don't know exactly what you're referring to. They're throwing kids out. Kids were sometimes they're not throwing out. They're punishing them for with absence until they come back and say, okay, we'll follow the rules. Nobody gets thrown out.
Yeah, thrown out. They're throwing people out if they don't conform with the state's laws, and preventing them from being a part of regular Torah life.
I know what you're talking about.
He means that the states regulates the yeshivas that they can't function normally now.
The state regulates. I don't know. This is
They
something
are
which.
restricting the yeshivas now under these circumstances about the corona.
Oh, Corona! Wait a second. Come on. Let's be real. Of course, the government, the doctors have to be in charge. This is not nobody else can. The doctors have to be in charge.
Okay,
Dealing
this
with
is what we're
corona.
going back. If it's the doctors or if it's the pilot, okay, I think we should leave it.
Oh, it's just